A city shaped by coffee tells its story through small details. Perla adds its own chapter, built with skill, focus, and steady hands. Good coffee starts with good intention, selecting the right partner, choosing the right roast, and working with people who value quality. Every cup reflects that simple idea. When you respect what you make, people feel it.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful day. I don't think it can get better than a hot day with a nice latte.
Absolutely.
It's the best drink for Miami, for sure. I understand why it's so popular. My dad always used to say, being a roaster is like being a chef.
That's true.
And I would love to learn your recipes.
When you think about coffee, the best compliment we can get as a roaster is you ruined my perception of coffee. If you can really win them over and expose them to different origins and processing methods and roasting styles, really there's a lot of open book that they can really explore and expose themselves to. We started Perla very organically at the local farmers market. You never know where paths cross and where you run into people that'll eventually be, big parts of your life. My business partner Paul and I were business students at the University of Miami. 10 years ago, he sent me a text and we just started talking. And at the time he was in Hawaii managing coffee farms there. And I was here in Miami in medical sales of all things. Both of our fathers have their own businesses. Started writing a business plan, we bought the coffee roaster, really dove deep into entrepreneurship. When you're the business owner, it's really rewarding because then you can craft a message, go after customers, whereas before, if you were an employee, you were basically at the mercy of your executive team to chart that path for you. Having that flexibility to grow and pivot and be independent exactly is really important because you can change and be more nimble and create programs and products that appeal to a wide spectrum of customers.
Do you think that most of your clients are individuals or coffee shops?
We have a nice blend. So we have everything from large luxury hotels to mom and pop single operator coffee shops. For us, it's really an interesting element of our business. You're having corporate level meetings with corporate hotel chains, but then on the flip side, you're having someone that's putting all of their life savings into opening a coffee shop and a dream.
What's the connection between Perla and Novela?
We have the great opportunity of meeting other entrepreneurs that are in various processes and stages of their business. Being able to connect with Arnon and basically seeing him take a business plan and an unfinished space and build it out fully and create this cultural hub. We're definitely honored to be a small part of the offerings that they have.
So I'm excited to meet the man behind this amazing business.
Here he is right
Hi,
here.
my name is Juliana.
How
Very
are
nice
you?
to meet you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, of course.
I love Novela. The neighborhood has an amazing energy. It feels like a very communal space.
Every time we open a shop, we try to be as local as possible with our understanding of our market, our neighborhood, about what's coming, what was here before, and a big part of it would be the coffee profile, the flavors. That's, I think, one reason we decided to go with La Perla. I think that La Perla defines what the specialty coffee Miami market wants. And it's been now 3.5 years of partnership. And it's a real partnership.
Absolutely.
In the roastery, beans guide the process. Heat, color, and timing define the outcome. Each decision brings the coffee closer to its true character.
Thank you so much.
Hi,
It's very
Paul.
nice to meet you, Juliana.
Nice to meet you, Juliana.
Muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros
No,
hoy.
gracias por venir. So this is our roasting facility. This is where we roast all of our coffee. So we get shipments in once or twice a week of the raw coffee, roast it, and then ship it out so the customers get the freshest coffee they can.
So where do you think defines Miami coffee culture? Where is the identity in coffee in Miami?
There's different identities depending on what part of Miami you go to. Let's say you go to Calle, you go to 8th Street. It's very different than if you go to South Beach. So there you have the entrenched Cuban community, which is going to affect the culture. On South Beach, you have tourism, so people coming from all over the world. So what we try to do is kind of give them something that they're going to enjoy. You'll see in our coffees when you taste them that there are some that are a little bit bright on the table, but primarily most of the coffee that we sell is very, very balanced. So it's going to kind of bridge the gap between what people might find in Calle Ocho and what people might find like at a third wave specialty shop. So you can see, so here we have our espresso blend, we have our dark roast blend, and then we have a couple of our single origins.
Okay.
Everything we do is roasted as a single origin and then blended together afterwards so that we can keep the origin specific flavors of that coffee intact.
What differentiates specialty coffee roasting versus mass production roasting?
It starts with the raw product. Basically, we give the coffee a score when we get a sample of it. To be considered specialty, it has to be 80 and above. Commercial coffee is below that, meaning that the coffee doesn't have any defects, the balance, the flavor, the acidity, the body, everything is there in the coffee. And then it's attention to detail. We're roasting small batches, one at a time. We're not roasting 500-pound batches of random coffees mixed together.
The smaller the batch, the better the control of the end product, yeah.
For sure, yeah.
And this is the start of the show.
It's the star of the show here.
What's great about this machine, it roasts everything on a profile.
Okay.
So that once we have a coffee profile set, it roasts that coffee exactly the same way every single time, so that in turn our customer gets the exact same product every single time. The basics are we start with raw coffee, green coffee, and a lot of people probably have never seen raw coffee before. From here, it's gonna be sucked up into the hopper. Once it's up there, we're gonna set the profile on the roaster to this specific coffee, and then the roaster will go to the right temperature, drop the coffee into the roast. So the first step is removing the moisture, and then it's gonna start to go through different chemical processes. The last one being caramelization. We reach that at about 402, 404 degrees on this roaster. We drop it where we feel the coffee is at the most balanced between sweetness, body, and acidity.
You're gonna see soon the coffee is gonna start changing colors. You're gonna be able to notice it on the beans. They go from green to yellow, right? And you can start seeing the roasting process. It's actually very interesting. It's definitely an art. It's an art. It's like you guys are like the chefs. This is like your kitchen.
Yeah, it's almost like popcorny, bready.
When my father started roasting, he didn't have like it wasn't computerized. So you really had to be like taking sample every 5 seconds with a timer and everything. And it was very not as precise, right? It's very artisanal. So you feel like you're more involved with the process. From the technical side, the creative side, I guess when you're roasting, cupping, what is your personal process?
The roasting is a little bit more technical than, say, blend creation. When we get a new coffee in, we check the density, the moisture content, we look at it, see what the color is, and then from there we take it to the roaster, roast it a bunch of different ways, and then we go through and taste them. And then I guess that's where your kind of creativity comes in on, hey, like these 3 are really good, but then how can we make them better? How can we adjust the roast slightly to kind of elevate the flavors that are kind of hidden below the surface? So we go back to the roaster, maybe adjust the temperature that it was dropped at, maybe adjust the roast curve, maybe adjust the end temperature. Then from there, do it again, see what cup we like the best. And if we have to do it again, we'll do it again. And then when it comes to blend creation, that's very fun because
It's more creative.
yeah, for sure. Because then you have different coffees from different countries. We mix them together. What happens then? What happens if we mix it at 50-50? What happens if we mix it at 75-25? How is that going to affect the cup?
What is the most challenging part of the process for you?
Is finalizing the blend. Can it be better? Sure.
There's
Am
always
I-
room
yeah,
for improvement,
exactly.
right?
Am I-
Especially if you're a perfectionist.
Yeah, am I happy where it is? Is it 90% of the population going to like it? Or do we keep going and tweak it even more?
Okay, let's talk about home roasters. I've seen a lot of growth on the home roasting trends now.
Yeah.
I think it's very fun, right? Because people want to be involved in the process.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about people wanting to be curious and learn about roasting?
Yeah, I think it's great. The technology in home roasters has grown exponentially. I remember when I first started, there was a hot air gun that my boss at the time had put like a funnel on, so you could just turn the hot air gun on and then put coffee in there and do it. But as long as they're curious, then they tell their friends and their friends tell their friends, and then kind of curiosity grows about, oh, it's not just what I buy at the grocery store that comes ground in a can, like this can be something completely different.
Similar to people who brew their own beer at home too. I think that's anytime you can get people interested in things in their life that they can learn more about, that natural curiosity is really important. It's funny because if I give you a steak and you burn your steak, you don't say it's the steak's fault, but if I give you coffee and you misbrew your coffee, you say that coffee is terrible all the time.
That's
So it's,
I
yeah,
hadn't thought about that.
All
That
the
is
time.
very true.
All the time.
Hopping brings the work into focus. Flavors rise, aromas shift, and differences appear. From here, new blends begin.
We're moving on to the cupping session. This is very exciting because I feel like most people don't know how to cup coffee. Can you please explain the process and the purpose too? Everything that goes into a tasting.
The purpose is the sensory evaluation of this coffee. In theory, we want every coffee to be brewed exactly the same way. So we have 10 grams of coffee in each one of these cups. We're gonna grind them to the same grind size. We're gonna add 5 ounces of water to it. We're gonna let it sit for 4 minutes. So in theory, every single cup is brewed the exact same way. Okay. So what we're tasting is not differences in the brewing, it's differences in the actual roast, where the coffee comes from, how it was processed.
This is an opportunity for a lot of customers to taste coffee side by side. So most people are having 1 cup of coffee in the morning and their flavor recall from day to day may be completely different. Having coffees all in a line and tasting them both when they're hot and then when the water cools off a little bit is really important, because that's the first aha moment that they can say a coffee from Colombia tastes completely different from Brazil and Ethiopia.
You can see the coffee's bubbling up. That's how you know your coffee's fresh as well. It's giving off that CO2 when it touches the water.
For my coffee shop when I was growing up, we used to do cupping sessions and we used to teach, right? Like the groups, especially like students, how to slurp. It was very fun. They always have a lot of fun time. Right? You used to say like, this is the table where you make the noise. Forget everything that your parents taught you.
Yeah, sure.
You have to slurp.
Yeah.
All right, so the coffee's still gonna be pretty hot.
Yeah.
It's been 8 minutes. So the way that I taste it, obviously, is you just take a small sample and then.
You see, that's what I mean. I can barely whistle.
I can't whistle, but I can make that noise.
That's better than a whistle.
You can't whistle?
Not that loud.
Okay.
So right now the coffee's hot. What I do when I taste it this hot is I gauge for the acidity, the balance.
I'm interested in, I think either of these two smell very good. Very different to what I'm used to. You see, like between these two, it's easy to tell that this is darker. But between like this, it's very hard to tell the roasting degree.
Similar roast levels,
Yeah. Okay. I see.
Yeah.
And that's the darkest we go. So that's
Okay.
even in the grand scheme of things.
But I was
that's
gonna
not
say,
as
that's not that dark.
Yeah.
It is dark, but it's not the darkest I've had.
So that's what we call our lucha blend. So it's a blend of coffees from Brazil and Sumatra,
Okay.
roasted to a level that will kind of mimic the Cuban style roast.
My favorite thing about coffee is, ultimately taking a brand that was created from a pen and paper on your couch and seeing it grow from that point to where it is now, and just being able to tell the story for the farmer at origin, being part of somebody's breakfast in the morning, being part of an award-winning lineup on the culinary side of things. It's always interesting when you tell people you have a coffee company because they're really excited to talk about it. And,
Yes.
if I had an insurance company, they probably wouldn't be as excited. having such an interesting and unique story to be able to tell people and to be partners with them in their business is really, really great.
Coffee connects neighborhoods, people, and everyday moments across Miami. Perla adds to that story through dedication and craft, shaping the city one roast at a time.